isn't playing on Sunday?
Who isn't playing? Rodney will be out.
Just Rodney?
That's Rodney.
Do you expect a role for Landon at all, maybe special teams?
We'll hold that close to us just for right now.
What went into the decision to practice at the link tonight?
We're going to play there on Sunday. I've been on a – not saying it like that. Yeah, no. But it really is the main reason why is so, hey, we're playing there Sunday. We have an easy trip to get over there. Not every stadium's like right next to their facility. And if it matters this much, it's worth it, right? So the receivers get to see the ball a certain way in that stadium. The DBs get to see the ball. The kick, Jake, Jalen get to feel the wind and how that moves in that stadium. Just the surroundings of being there, getting ready to executing plays in that stadium. And I really believe it's gonna. Is it a huge difference? Not a huge difference, but if it's that much, even if it's that much, it's worth our time to go over there. And the other thing is, like, that's our home field. Like, if you get 8 games or 10 games at that stadium, imagine how much more it feels like you're home than when you're 20 games. So put a lot of thought into that. There was one place I've done that before in the past. I always really thought that was a good idea. It was in Kansas City. The stadium was close to the practice facility, and that's why we do it.
So it's your plan to continue that throughout the season when you're home?
Obviously that can change here and there. That can change based off the weather and different things go into it. But yeah, that's my initial plan, and just be ready to adjust just like we do in a game.
Has Mark set clear concussion protocol then? Is he available?
Tomorrow. We'll find out in the morning. Yeah.
You obviously knew Jonathan very well from working with him in Indianapolis, but in seeing him in this new role, what had you learned about him that you maybe didn't know?
I knew he was a great leader but now he's leading an entire group, so I just see his leadership skills. I already knew he was a really good with fundamentals and technique, especially at the DB spot, and then also with his scheme. And so now just to see his leadership role amongst an entire group instead of just a position group. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. To see it in front of an entire group of as a coordinator instead of position group, that's really been fun to see. So he's the same guy though, right? With same energy and same insane energy and knowledge for football.
With his background with DBs, does that kind of put you a little bit more at ease with the injuries that you do have in the secondary? And how do you feel about your secondary right now?
Yeah, I feel good about our secondary. They played a good game. They've been practicing well, in the past, and now they've had a good week of practice this week. So really confident in them, and I think we got some good playmakers back there.
Nick, we saw some of the veterans get a rest designation on Wednesday. What goes into that, and is that something you want to continue all year?
Yeah, just like we do in the season, it's always about the players' health and making sure they're fresh for the game, and that's just something that each individual week we'll talk about and we'll think through. And that was the Wednesday plan though, coming off the game on Sunday.
You protected 4 practice squad players. Obviously, you can do that. Didn't activate any last week. What goes into the decision whether or not you're going to bring somebody up for the game?
You are limited in how many times you can actually bring somebody up, but it's just the guys that maybe the position's thin. Special teams is always taken into account. The style of offense or defense that the team plays against you, that always takes into account, like who might you need up, who might need a rest, and etc. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, those 3 being the main ones.
Given the week of game planning, though, how early does that decision have to be made between you and Allie?
Because you're dealing with the second group. It's not the first part of the week is talking about the guys that are going to be up and they're going to be down, and who's healthy and who's not. So really pretty much, and then it's kind of the next level of that, Wednesday, Thursday, the other stuff happening Monday, Tuesday.
So are you picking the top shirt in the pile, or is there a specific reason for that?
If someone sent me this shirt, I liked it, and I put it on. So no, it's just supporting Jalen. That's kind of why I like to connect with those guys, through wearing their shirts, and also just supporting them. Letting them know I believe in them.
Handling success can be a little bit different than adversity. So how do you get a feel for the players this week? Can you get a feel? Do you know where you are by Friday?
I think the message has been clear ever since the beginning. When we had to talk about adversity, right? You kind of think, somebody asked me about, do you have a talk for each thing? And I kind of said I do, but we had to talk about adversity, and when adversity hits, because it's going to hit, right? And how you handle that, and what are the things that you really believe in that you double down on when adversity hits. Well, that's the same thing when you have success too. It's got to be the same mindset. So, and my message to him was, if you stick to, the things that you really believe in, and you double down on those things you really believe in, connect, compete, accountability, football IQ, fundamentals, and you double down on that, no matter if you win or if you lose, you're going to set yourself up to be good shape, because we know those are the things that help you win and lose games. So that's been the message. But I think the guys have were handled this week great. Again, we know it's one game. It's round one, and that just can never be forgotten. We're not thinking about that game. We're thinking only about this game this coming week.
And then your connection to the players. Obviously, things are going well now. When they're not, do you have a temper, and how do you handle?
I have a temper when things go well. So yeah, both and. I'm a yeller and screamer, whether it's good or whether it's bad. I mean, as far as I'm not going to change based. They got to look at me based off of and know that I'm the same guy no matter what, right? And so, it's not all nice out there when we're out there, whether it's coaches, players, whatever. So, I would say I think I'm the same whether we're winning or we're losing, but we've only got one game in there, and so I got to practice what I preach.
And how do you handle his temper? Is it something that you want to fix?
My temper?
The temper, yes. I'm talking about if you do have. I mean, you see a little bit out in the field. I'm just wondering behind the doors.
No, I was just teasing a little bit. I mean, to a point, but no, I don't think I have an issue with temper. So. I know I kind of answered you two different ways there, but I think it's an intensity. Like, hey, there's a standard that is set, and if you meet the standard, then we're really excited about it. If you don't meet the standard, then we got to correct it. Sometimes that correction is made in ways where you're yelling. Sometimes that correction is made in ways that you're teaching. Sometimes that correction's made in the film room. Sometimes it's made in the practice room. So it's all different based off different circumstances. And, I mean, that's kind of how I handle that.
When you look at Devontae, it seems like there are two different sides of him. When he's with us, he's pretty quiet, but inside, obviously, he's dancing in the locker room and stuff. When did you first notice that side of Devontae, and kind of what do you think about it?
Yeah, I see a little bit more of the side you see. Sometimes you'd be surprised there as well with coaches. Sometimes it's similar. I mean, maybe we see a little bit more, but I've said this a couple times about a couple different guys in my career, like, hey, he's really quiet, and guys will laugh at me and be like, no, he's not. You know what I mean? So, but we've seen it, and I don't want to say, when you're in there talking ball with them, he's not quiet, right? This is something that he knows well. He studies it hard. He's obsessed with his craft of getting better, and he loves wide receiver play, loves the details of the game. So that's where you see it. That's where I guess I've seen it more than not is just talking ball with him in general.
Sorry, Nick, heading into week one, you emphasized the advantage that you guys had, people not knowing what your offense was going to look like. Now that there's some tape out there, what becomes important so you keep defenses off balance?
Yeah, just knowing your tendencies and knowing the things that you do and being able to balance those off, marry things together from that really is the most important thing. But again, you're getting ready for a certain style of defense, and then you're going to get ready for a different style of defense. So there's still only one game, but we always gotta make sure that we know what our tendencies are with a lot of different things. Just because we know the defensive coordinators in this league are really good, and they look at a lot of different things as well.
Is there a pregame routine or game day routine that you have?
That I have, back when I played, and even when I first started coaching, it was like I was very superstitious about a lot of different things. Like, it was like it bogged me down a little bit. And as a coach, I'm like, when I became a coach, and maybe I did it for the first couple years, and then I'm like, I can't keep up with this. So I guess my superstition or my routine is to not be superstitious. That's really the fact. Because I think a lot of coaches are, and they'll be like, well, we sat here last week, and I'll purposely sit somewhere else. So that's just me.
I saw you the preseason game, kind of looked up. I assume to your family in the stands. Is that something you do?
I do, yeah. Now that I know exactly where they're sitting, I can look up and do my little things with my son, and that's me and my son have a little wave from afar, so that's really it.
About McHill's story that resonated with you when you were in Indianapolis that made you want to bring it here to Philadelphia, and how has it resonated
What story?
Mike Hill's dog culture.
How
did that resonate with you in Indianapolis that made you want to bring it here? And then
well, it really, the Zach Pascal, our receiver in Indianapolis, really, he had the shirts and passed them out. There's different ways of saying dog mentality, right? Different places I've had different things, but there's a story I have about dogs, and I'm not going to go into that whole story. It takes about 15 minutes to tell a story. I'm not going to bore anybody, but just that they, me seeing them is that they, no matter what, when they go hunt, regardless of what happened the week before, they're ready to go, right? Whether they got shut out, whether they won by 40, whether they didn't do good on third down, whatever it was, right? And I'm talking about the dogs. And they went out, and the gates opened for them to hunt, and they went out and hunt. So that's what that is about. And then the shirt, and I've told that story for a couple years now. And when Zach Pascal had that shirt, and we were all like, man, that shirt's cool. I kind of tied it in together there. So it wasn't, I don't really know Mike. Happy for his business. I heard it's doing well now. But yeah, I don't really know him or his story all that well, to be 100% honest with you.
Just in general terms, when you talk about game planning, getting ready for your next opponent, where do you start? Do you start with, okay, this guy's going to be really difficult on the opposition, or do you start with yourself?
Again, everything's got to start with yourself, but everything is taken into account, right? I say it always starts with players. And so it starts with, how am I going to get these guys the football, right? Or how are we as a staff going to be able to get these certain guys the football? And what do they do well? So, okay, well, this guy has speed. So, okay, we have these certain things in there for speed, and that we've done in our past. And this guy has a great feel. All right, well, let's get these things in there. Well, then it goes to okay, well, we have this group of, without getting too much into it, but we have this group of feel routes that are really important to have. Well, does this feel route look good against the coverages and the fronts that they're running? Does this feel route look good? Does it? So it kind of goes like that. And then once you go through all that too, and then you got to think about who they have, right? So it all kind of comes together. And I think if you just went out and said, I'm going to do all these feel routes, your game plan would be, it's kind of cool how it plays out, because your game plan would be this monster sheet, a huge sheet of things that you couldn't get repped or practiced. So it kind of whittles itself down. It starts high, and then it kind of whittles its stuff down based off of what you do well, what the defense does well, what their scheme is, et cetera, et cetera.
The play from last week where Devontae calls out the corner blitz, is that a rare thing for a rookie to do, or is that sort of standard operating procedure?
That's something we talk about a lot, but not everybody sees it. I think Devontae studies tape, he studies tape a lot, and he studies tape hard, and so he picks up on those little things. Again, I just think he's obsessed with getting better and obsessed with his craft of being a better wide receiver every day.
With the way you guys used Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett last year, did that help you kind of gain an understanding for how Kyle might use Trey and Jimmy?
Well, it's just they're just different style players, and they're different offenses. With Jacoby, I would say no, to be without going into it too much, but I would say no, just because of the style of players they are. Jacoby was a guy we brought in on short yardage things to run a couple runs. There was no secret that Phillip wasn't running some of those plays. So no, just because of the style of player.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys.